so we'll just be, it's officially 6:01 p.m. on December 3rd, 2024. Welcome to the Charter Review Commission's meeting. We'll start with agenda item number 1, we're going to call it to order. Number 2, public comments. Anybody sign up for public comments?
I did.
Patty did?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I do that now?
Yeah, you can
Okay.
come forward, Pat, or you can have a seat over here if you want.
Okay, I'm gonna pass these out,
Okay,
just so you know where I'm at.
okay.
Just announce everything.
Just
Got
your
mine.
name, address, and then we'll give you your 3 minutes whenever you start.
Okay, my name's Patty Mines, I live at 1571 South Main, which is the flyer you have in your hand. I'm here to talk about the stormwater drainage impervious, whatever that is. I'm on this 35 acres, and I'm paying the highest amount that you can pay based on your square footage. I feel like that isn't equitable for the amount of drainage I'm allowing for. So I wanted to see if we could talk about maybe getting a variance for me or for anybody. I'm residential ag. So maybe we could do something that, you know, as the city takes in residential ag, that they could give them the privilege of a percentage, the percentage of your house that takes up the land, instead of just sticking us with, like, I pay the highest, I pay the same amount as the RV park that's asphalted, or the strip center that's asphalted all over. So, I feel like my house is right down here. And I actually have a discrepancy in in the amount of square footage. I think they took it from the CAD and they added the second floor to the first floor and considered it, instead of considering that they're stacked and here's my footprint. So, that's beside the point. I can appeal that. But what I am trying to get y'all to look at is possibly doing some kind of percentage, instead of lumping me in with somebody who is in a city lot that is very small and you're taking up 6,000 square feet or 10,000 square feet or whatever it is, it's impervious. So, don't know what you think about that. How would I know that this would ever become an action item?
I'll talk with you after 3 minutes. When we get off of there.
Okay,
We're not allowed to discuss.
Yeah, we can't.
oh, I did, no, I did,
Oh,
okay.
yeah,
I don't-
we can't discuss.
Okay, I'm just looking for.
Yeah.
All right, I get it. Okay, so basically that was all I was looking at, is possibly looking at a percentage based on how much acreage I have compared to the amount of impervious. So, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Patty.
Thank you so much.
All right, anyone else sign up to speak this evening? Okay. Moving on to agenda item number 3, consider approval of the minutes for the Charter Review Commission, October 29th, 2024, number 19. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
by Caluso.
Third.
Second from Quentin Scott and Kyle Olson. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Moving on to agenda item number 4, discussion of proposed home rule charter amendments and review ballot and the language. Mick, presenting.
Yes, we, after the last meeting, drafted proposed language for the amendment as it would appear in the charter, and some proposed ballot language, which differs on some of them because some of the information included in the proposed full amendment of, for instance, in section 3.02, doesn't have to be in the charter. The voters don't need to know all those details to decide, do they want to go to 3-year terms, staggered terms, with 1/3 of the council up for election in any given year. So that's why you'll see some differences. What we did was draft language for your review on section 3.02, which is the number, selection, and term section of the charter, which I'll go through first. Basically, this amendment would become effective at the election in May of 2026, which is the next officer's election after this charter amendment, if it passes. It requires the terms of office to change from 2 years to 3 years, and that the terms be staggered so that no more than 1/3 of the membership of the council is up for election in any given year. The transition plan, the way this is drafted, in other words, who serves to make the stagger work, can be done by ordinance if this is adopted. It need not be appear here. I will tell you, though, that we can draft it now, so those districts can be identified in the charter language if you wish, by number. But the way I drafted it for today is just saying the transition plan will be handled by ordinance.
Do you have to state the stagger that has to be in the proposed charter?
No, because that can be done if the amendment is adopted by the city council on the charter by ordinance.
I'm just trying to keep it simple.
Yeah, if you put the districts or places in there, I think you'd only confuse the voters.
Well, that's the argument against that.
Right.
But then some voters want to know, well, I don't want that old guy to serve another minute. So if he's going to serve 3 years, I'm voting against it, you know. So that's
Hey.
one ways to go.
Outside over there.
No, he said old, I'm not old.
I didn't say lady.
I'm not old, I am experienced and
That's
senior.
right.
Or that young
Well,
guy, I don't
no.
know, I don't want, OL apostrophe guy, how's that?
Yeah.
And then Lori was smart enough to add the current language so you can read what that is before you read the proposed language and the proposition. And I took a shot at including a purpose clause at the end, which I think you're gonna wanna do as a commission when you make your report to the city council. So that's just the first draft. You guys can mark up, change, do whatever you want to.
So the purpose clause doesn't go on the ballot.
It does not. That's something, though, that can be important for the council to understand when it goes before public to determine, and you have, probably will have a public hearing to discuss, and that way everybody knows, everybody's on the same page.
Well, there's a process. So whatever term, whatever language we agree on, that has to come to a public hearing, right? No?
Yes,
Yes. And so it has to be publicly discussed.
yes,
So the rationale for the language can be discussed, but pending legal approval, it needs,
yes, yes, that it
So you really
complies.
don't have to include all that other language in there,
Right,
because you can already discuss it. It's gonna be out there in public, explaining it.
that's true. Charter amendment ballot language, those are considered measures under the election code, and there are opinions from primarily the Secretary of State's office on they need to be direct and understandable. So that's the attempt we've made on drafting that.
Yeah, I think with 3.02 looks good, the way it stands. Any other thoughts on that? Questions or concerns?
I think you really do want to pay attention to that purpose thing I drafted, because that's just me. You guys might want to jump in on that.
Right. That, like I said, that's for us and for us to take to the
Yes, sir.
public hearing. It's not
Should
for,
be
it's
part
not
of
what's gonna be
your-
on the ballot.
It will not be on the ballot.
That's
It's
what, that's
part
really
of
what
your,
we're concerned with right now.
We could have it on the slide in the presentation, when you guys make presentations or engage with the public, you can use it.
You just took the purpose from our discussion, I mean, right?
Yeah.
You just,
Yeah.
that's right,
But-
I gathered it from.
But it needs to be your decision on how that goes up.
Okay.
The next one is 3.04. This was simple, and I don't know, we may want to revisit it. The current language of 3.04, judge of the qualifications. The city council is the final judge of all elections and the qualifications of its members and of any other elected officials of the city. Proposed language is the same, except we don't have any other elected officials, so we just removed that. Back in the day, before we had a charter, we had a city marshal who was elected, and we may have had some other people. So this is archaic language. If you want to get rid of that, we can do that. The ballot proposition will be the same. It just says, will section 3.04 of the Bernie City Charter be amended to read the same language?
Is there any chance we'd ever have another elected office in Bernie?
For the city?
Yeah, for the city.
Probably not. The trend statewide is to eliminate, when, I'd say, 10 years ago, there were still some elected marshals. El Paso elects all their municipal judges, for instance. Some cities do.
I think San Angelo has an elected police chief.
They do. And then 3 cities still elect the city attorney. So, but it's unlikely. We don't really, it's not.
Mick, if we're using this for the public and to convey what we're trying to do, I know I had to look at it twice to find out what we were trying to change. Maybe a simple strikeout.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
put that in there, but showing what you're trying to do.
That's
So
a
you
good idea.
repeat the other, under the proposed,
I do like that.
yeah,
That's
any
a good
other
idea.
officials, and just strike it out, so they can see what we're doing.
Okay.
It'd help convey it to the public, so they understand it.
I see what you mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So include that in the proposed.
So we have that, we could
language.
show the current, we could show a strike through.
Yeah, just the strike through, and then it'll,
That-
it'll jump out at them a little bit better. what
That's a
we're
good
trying to do.
idea.
That wouldn't be on the ballot that way.
No.
But again, there can be communication that we can create that's very factual based off of this document, so. We can put that in the paper, we can mail that, we can put it on social media as long as attorney approves it.
Yeah, we can't encourage people to vote yes or no, but we can
No.
certainly convey it.
Well, for clarification, Mick, the current and the proposed, will that show on the ballot?
No,
No.
just the proposed.
Just the proposed, so they would never see that other than,
Unfortunately, with all these things, and people are paying attention and they're doing it cold, it's kind of like, what am I voting on? Because I don't even know what it said before.
yeah,
That's just.
that's the unfortunate.
That's
part.
absolutely
Doesn't show.
true.
Really about that, it's right.
Especially for like this one, which,
Mhm.
there's nothing less controversial than the 3.04 change. And they will be measures, so they follow on the ballot, they must follow after the officers are elections. So it's at the end of the ballot anyway. Okay, 3.08, vacancies and forfeiture of office.
That depends on 3.02.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's kind of a conditional thing. Can one pass without the other?
Well, that's why, and Trev brought that up, so I think we need to reword what I have here. If we, as you all know, if the change is adopted to go to 3-year terms, then we can't use our current method of filling vacancies. We are required by the Texas Constitution to fill the vacancy at the next special election. So I think it would serve the purpose if we actually change the ballot language only to read, when a vacancy occurs in the city council, it shall be filled as required by the Texas Constitution and other law applicable to home rule cities, period. And the reason I think that's adequate is, if the 3-year terms does not pass, we still have 2-year terms, so the current version of 3.08 works, or we can adopt that manner of, we can fill the vacancies just
So
like.
if that
we
doesn't
did.
pass, we're just status quo.
Yes, sir. If it does pass, we are already in compliance with state law, and we would continue to be whether it passes or not.
So if it passes and 3.02 doesn't pass, it doesn't change anything
It
either
doesn't
way.
change it.
Okay, all right.
So I'm gonna reword that one.
With just take the 3-year city council term off.
Yes. And then, and that one's pretty simple to convey to people, you know, I think. And so it's got a simple purpose clause, purpose provision.
I guess there's the possibility that the first one passes and this third one doesn't for some odd reason, and then we have to.
Well, we still have to comply with state law, so
The ordinance, we can do it.
we just can't follow what we have in the charter already.
Yeah.
So-
Well, the next time we look at the charter, we'll say, hey, we need to make this in compliance. or
Right.
Yeah.
state
Wouldn't be the
law.
first time it's happened, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2020, we did a lot of that, so we can do it next time we do that.
So where it says at no given, in the current one, at no given time shall 2 appointed council members serve on the council, is that state law? Or is that something we need to consider when we're doing this?
I'll double check that. I don't think so. Double check that. 7.01, the current language in the Planning and Zoning Commission section uses the words like adopt a comprehensive plan, adopt development regulations. So they don't really adopt, they recommend, so I changed the language. Everywhere the 2 places that adopt appeared, I put the terms review and recommend to the city council. Review and recommend to the city council a comprehensive plan. Review and recommend to the city council the regulations.
What does it say, who's established the city?
The city council is, I'm not sure why we're making that change.
It says they shall who's established the city council?
The city council shall, 1, establish a planning and zoning, 2, adopt a comprehensive plan. And
Well, I think that what we talked about was, does Planning and Zoning Commission adopting the comprehensive plan?
no, the city council has to by this.
Right, so we're only really changing 2 and 3 on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, Linda's saying we don't need.
We don't need.
She's saying the way it's, the city council shall with the
Because-
hyphens
Yeah.
to adopt, so it's saying city
The
council.
city
has to
council's
do
doing
it.
Because the
it, not
bullet
the
number
planning.
2 doesn't reference bullet number 1, it referenced the intro first. It
Yeah.
says city council shall,
She's right.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, well, then we don't need 7.01 at all.
Okay,
Well, I think the thing though is, that I thought it said they were, because those were not, was it written exactly that way?
Yep.
in the original?
that's the
Yes,
charter,
it
is it
was.
not?
Good.
That's
Well,
it.
the previous page,
What you have there is the current.
But it says that the city council is establishing, and that they are to review and recommend to the city council. Oh, you changed
No.
the word.
That's the change.
That's the change, because under the other one, it says we establish it, and then they.
Well, that's just one, we're
They
establishing the P and Z, but the city council is still the one adopting the comprehensive plan.
But
And
It's
it
not
adopting
talking
it.
about
doesn't
P and Z.
clarify that though.
It's
not very clear when
It's
you
not
read
clear.
it.
Okay,
It's not clear.
well, here's what might make it
So-
clearer.
I want,
Huh?
What might make that clearer,
not an English major, but if you change it to your reading, it says the city council shall review and recommend to the city council.
yeah, you're right, that'll make sense.
Does that make
That's
sense?
what I'm saying.
No, you need to leave
So
the
the
charter
way it was
alone
on
as
the
it
previous page,
stands.
the city council shall establish a planning and zoning commission. City council shall adopt the comprehensive plan and determine what extent zoning on the land, the city council shall.
Yeah.
The city council
You're right.
shall previews every one of those, 1, 2, 3 applies to the city council.
Yeah, but it's under a planning and zoning commission
It
section.
sounds like, it's, to me, it's out of sequence. If you wanna say, if you wanna trade 1, you put it to 3, the city council shall adopt a comprehensive plan, adopt development regulations, and establish a planning and zoning committee to carry out the planning specified by law. I mean, because right now, that's, I think, the issue is.
So the section in the charter is about P and Z commission, so we just need to rewrite this to flow.
Well, I
better.
think just, what you said, can we just put number 1 to number 3, just put it at the bottom instead of at the
Is that
top?
what I'm saying? I mean, it says we're establishing, we're doing these things, and then we're establishing the P and Z to recommend to us, to your language, your stuff. I just wanna make it clear for the future,
Yeah.
Yeah,
because there are P and Z issues.
it's,
I've never heard of that. Really?
because the
Then
title of the section is Planning and Zoning Commission. So an outsider would look at these things and think that this is what the Planning and Zoning Commission is doing, even though we know, based on, the hierarchy of language, that's not the case.
What if we just change it to planning and zoning and take out the word commission in the heading?
Well, we can do that.
Because that's what creates.
Yeah.
Well, is there another enabling ordinance or ordinance that the city has about planning and zoning roles and responsibilities?
Well, yeah, we have, the UDC has stuff about planning and zoning.
So, number one though says, establish a planning and zoning commission to carry out the planning function and such decision-making, but they're not making the decisions, they're making recommendations.
Well, as may be specified by ordinance.
So by ordinance, yeah, they are
Okay.
making decisions.
I
They
think,
make final decisions on planning.
I think if the legal interpretation is this covers council, then I don't know if it's worth trying to complicate the
I
voters
don't
when we're
either.
trying to get
And
something.
what I'm gonna do, and Lori and I will do, I'm drafting you, is talk to our code provider and see if we can strike the word commission without having any complications, because that's just a topic,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's not the substance of the charter.
That's a good
I
point.
like
We just
that
said
point.
planning and
We
zoning.
do that, when we codify ordinances all the time, we change the title when it doesn't look right, and the code company just does it. We'll find out if we can do that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Does that sound better, Joe?
That sounds a lot simpler.
Much better.
And then, I forgot to draft this part, but finally, that's why Lori's here.
That's it.
It's the main reason she's here is because I forget everything. Changing to creating a 10-year review of the charter by the city council. And that's pretty simple, that's all it says.
My only thought there was that should it say at a minimum,
Yeah.
once every 10 years,
Yeah.
as opposed to on the 10-year mark? Because if we do it now,
Yep.
right, maybe we do it 2 years from now, does that mean we still have to do it in 34? Or can we do it from 36, right, if we do it 2 years from now?
Well, does it cause any conflict if we do it this year and then we wanna do it again? They're like, well, why are we doing it again when we don't do it for 5 years? You know what I'm saying?
So just do a minimum.
Or at a minimum of 10 years or per request of,
Or sooner as determined by.
Well,
Can't do
it's
it.
already, we're already allowed to at any point
Yeah,
do
we
it.
can't.
right, we are.
So you're just saying, hey, at a minimum, we're gonna look at it at least
At a minimum.
once every 10
I
years?
think it's a prod to future
Yeah.
Yes.
officials, just like, don't forget, you gotta review this
Yeah, I
at
like
least
that.
once every
Minimum.
10 years.
Yeah, at a minimum, at a
Minimum of once every 10 years.
Again, I'm surprised at how many cities go 30 years.
They forget.
Wow.
Some go 5, but very few, most are 10. 10 is good because that's 4 or 5 legislative sessions,
Lock it in.
The way things are going, we need to do it every 2.5 years.
I was getting ready to say, yeah, we're gonna change it to 5. Okay.
So that's all I've got. And you guys want to work on the purpose clause for 3.02. And I guess that's the only one because the other two are very simple.
Yeah.
But you can work on them all, just whatever you want to put in there.
I like what you've got here as far as the purpose. I think that's
Good.
relatively clear to the average reader.
Yeah.
Why are you doing
Assuming
it?
everything.
Well, there's always.
Well, at the public hearing, people will see this and talk about
I hope
it.
so.
So you want them to understand it.
Yeah.
If someone shows up.
It'll be on social media.
I thought she was here for the charter review.
Yeah.
Picnic.
The 3-year thing will create.
Yeah, there'll be some comments, I'm sure, if there's a public hearing on it.
I don't recall being any last time, but I'd love to hear them this time.
Never know.
Okay, all right. Any other discussion on that? We're all good with that? Nick will make those changes?
I'll make the changes, we'll send them out to you.
Okay, do we need to have another meeting to final review on those before we do that, or can we just do that via email?
Well, that's up to you. How did you want to report this formally to the council? Since council members are members, I don't know that you need to make a formal report.
In January, I think we talked about this, right, Ben? You wanna do
Yeah, I
it?
think, we
January.
could either pick whether it's the first or second meeting in January, we can do a presentation of how many meetings we met.
Right.
Lori or I can do that, then we turn over to you, you can talk about what's going on,
be
invite
good.
those citizen reps to come, we can acknowledge their participation.
What's our deadline for the ballot, though?
February.
February.
February 11th,
But-
probably.
So maybe
Call.
last meeting in January, or if we want to do the first meeting in February, maybe that even makes better sense, because it's closer to when we'll.
Well,
It's
unless
kinda
there are changes
close.
after the public
Yes.
I
hearing.
was gonna
Yeah,
say-
I'd rather do it in January.
It's not without, I mean, it is possible somebody's gonna say something that, hey, yeah, maybe we need to do something else.
Give us enough time to make any changes or do
Yeah.
something.
I would say the first
Are we gonna
meeting in
post it or
January.
something?
January 14th, we'll put an item on there.
Agenda item, and then
And then
if
use
y'all
this
can
down.
come and attend that meeting, we'll put it as the second or third item on the agenda. That way you don't have to sit there through.
And the staff can report, and you can conduct a public hearing, we'll have this fixed up and look better, and slides and everything.
Will we be making a determination at that meeting, or the next meeting?
It's a public hearing, so we'll have to just do the public hearing, and then,
Can action be taken
You can
immediately?
You can
without
take
any
any
action?
kind of action, you can take it in the same meeting, there's nothing that you can do.
What would the action be to accept the report, and then we would call an election in February?
And approve the ballot propositions to go on
Consider and approve.
on the order of the election.
When you call for the election, you do both at the same time.
it's a Lori thing.
So the election order will have the offices, office holder elections, and then the measures will be on that same order.
We'll do that the first meeting in February?
February 11th, is the one we'll call.
Is that actually a Tuesday?
Yeah, the 14th is
Oh,
the
it's the
last
14th.
day to call for an election.
Okay.
We'll do the actual call on the February 11th meeting.
February 11th.
Okay.
Do you think that January meeting, the public would want to know which council members are going to be up for those staggered elections? Would you guys need to decide that before then?
I would rather than not know, because I think that's interjecting an unknown that really, because we don't even know.
Right, but we could know.
We
Yeah,
could.
you could know, right? You guys are going to draw lots or something like that, right?
Well, but you also have to look at it, you will be going through an election cycle, and there may be new people, so you won't really know.
We'll have it too.
Last day to file.
Yeah, I think
You
you need
need
to
to
prepare,
Two
probably
new-
need, at a minimum, need to be prepared to mention that if this is approved, the meeting right after the election, they'll figure out by ordinance how that's
Oh,
gonna work.
right. After
I
the
think
election.
that would be better.
If it's
Right,
approved.
Yeah, because you could have a new mayor and two new council members.
Well, maybe we make a note of that on this somewhere. The first
As,
meeting,
as to rationale as to why
After
you're
the-
not designating it,
or
because you
after,
don't know
yeah,
who will be the council.
or maybe say something like, at the first meeting after canvass of the votes, if this amendment passes, then
Make it,
Yeah, I think
designate,
that should
determine
be-
the.
That's a better thing.
yeah.
We will then delegate or set out
Draw
what
straws, whatever.
the, yeah, cast lots.
There's a biblical history of that.
Yeah.
Well, it is good, though. I think, again, that new statute may come into play where we gotta have an election on everybody next, on the 20, if this passes. Maybe the 26th.
Oh, in 20, I thought it was on the, after you do your census update.
Oh, no, it is, so it's not yet, we don't have, it's only for redistricting.
31 and 32.
What we can do, it's still best to try to make the person serve their full term if it's available. If there is one available for that
Mhm.
staggering, you know, because you already have voters that voted for them for,
Right.
but we can work on that.
Yes,
What that looks like, because you have three, someone, one, the mayor, the one of the two council members would then turn around, either have to be
Well,
the second cycle or the third cycle, which would have to be extended. One of their terms would have to be
Or you could
extended.
just run 3 elections in 3 years like I did. Not a problem.
Are you volunteering?
Sounds like Joe's
I
volunteering.
am not
All in favor of Joe volunteering?
We're only gonna have one staggered seat, it'll be up every year.
no, one of y'all three will have to have a 30-year term,
Correct.
and then
That's
one
right.
of us three would only have a 2-year term.
Right.
That's
what
right.
it was.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
So,
correct.
well, y'all get one more year.
Here he is.
Yeah, almost done.
I mean adjournment.
Yeah.
That's what I was afraid of. That's why I think it's best to do it not on the It's as confusing as it is.
Right, exactly. Joe, do you have any questions on the ballot language? We kind of went through and basically said everything looks pretty good with a couple.
with that. Except we're not gonna do, 7.1.
7.0, just we gotta cross out the top main
Yeah, we're
commission.
gonna try to change the caption.
Commission.
That was the thing that was brought up, right? Yeah.
Do we need to have another meeting again? We're not sure.
We'll send this corrections out, tomorrow or next day.
And maybe if you do have feedback, send it to Lori. If there's a lot of different feedback, maybe we'll say, let's call a meeting, so we can talk about it. If there's just one or two minor things, then we'll just send out the updated.
Updated amendments and then look at everything for the January 17th council meeting.
Right.
14th.
14.
Can't do math in my head, so.
Very long.
It's been a Monday on a Tuesday for sure.
That's a good way to try to.
All right. Any other topics of discussion? No? All right, I think we can get out of here then. We'll adjourn the meeting at 6:32 PM. Thank you, everyone.
We're hitting the list pretty much walking in.